To 3D print your models using Simplify3D and the Moment 3D printers, first you're going to need to create a 3D model using 3D modeling software of your choice. Once you've done that, download or export your file in STL format. Once this is in your downloads folder, you can go in there and rename it to something appropriate. So I'm just going to call this brick. You can see it has the .stl file extension after the file name. With that done, I'm going to move into Simplify3D. In the top left hand of the screen, I'm going to click on the import button, navigate to wherever you have your 3D model STL file. Mine is in my downloads folder. There it is, brick.stl. Click that and then click open and it will drop onto the print plate. If you double click the file, you can open the properties panel and change the size, orientation and other things. If you have any overhang, like I do here, so if I click the left mouse button and just rotate the file to check it, we can see that there's a chunk missing towards the base. So I'm going to need to add support material to this, otherwise it won't print very well, or might not print at all. You should try to orientate or create your 3D models so there is no overhang whatsoever. Sometimes this can mean making things in multiple parts instead of one solid piece. To add support material, click on the support material button, set the size of your support pillars. So I've got 2mm here. This means that the pillars will be quite thin and easy to remove once printing is finished. And then click Generate Automatic Supports. If I zoom in, you can see I have these support pillars on my 3D model holding up that piece that would otherwise be printing in midair and cause the print to fail. When you're happy with that, click Done, and then in the bottom left hand of the screen, click on the Prepare to Print button and give your slicer a few seconds to process the model. You'll see the screen changes slightly. The model is now blue and green and the support material is shown in grey. You can hold the left mouse button and rotate your 3D model to make sure there are no glaring errors. If you look towards the top left hand of the screen at the build time, we have a rough estimate here of 8 hours and 43 minutes. And if I look at the bottom of the window, I can move this slider to see how the 3D model will be built layer by layer and just quickly check that there'll be no problems there as well. If you're happy with the result of the slicing process, go to the bottom left-hand side of the screen and click on the SD card icon called Save Tool Paths to Disk. Depending on the version you're using, this icon may look slightly different, but it's always towards the bottom left-hand of the screen, and there should be some kind of icon that represents an SD card. Click that. In the Save As window, find the location of your SD card, give your file a name, so I'm just going to leave this as brick, and then click the Save button. If you go to your Finder window, you can go to your SD card, and there I can see I have my brick.gcode file ready for 3D printing. Now I simply need to put my SD card in the 3D printer and go through the different steps using the 3D printer to print that 3D model. If the Moment 3D printer doesn't read your card and doesn't show your file, you may have your SD card using the wrong file format. If this happens to you, go to your Launchpad, open the Disk Utility tool, put your SD card back into your computer, select the SD card, and check that your format is using MS-DOS FAT32. If it isn't, simply click Erase, give your SD card a name if needed. From the list, choose MS-DOS FAT, then click Erase, let the computer do its thing for a few seconds. Once it's finished, click Done, and then you can go back into the slicer, save your file again, using the same steps as before, and then you can go to the Finder window. There we go, there's the brick.gcode file. Remember to eject your SD card. and then go to the 3D printer and start printing.